All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for staying with us or joining for our last two presentations of GIS Day Eve. Next up, I'd like to introduce Catherine from the Department of Transportation and Highway, who will be talking about GIS in action.
Hello, everybody. My name is Catherine Janensky, and I am a Associate Planning Specialist here in the Strategic Policy and Planning Bureau. I'm going to share my screen so you can see this at the Department of Transportation and Highways here at the county. So today I'm going to be talking about GIS in action, so turning transportation plans into reality. So here's a quick agenda. I'll start with an introduction, and then I'm going to talk about the Cook County Bike Plan. And so I'm going to be talking about some of our bike network goals, some of the GIS
Catherine,
resources.
can I stop you real quick? We need to bring our slides up. Apologies. Can you try to share your slides one more time?
Oh yeah, 1 second. Are you seeing my screen?
Yep, we can see you. We just need to, if you can share your screen via Teams with your presentation open. We can
I see. 1 second.
No worries.
You see it now?
Yeah.
Almost. All right, I believe we are good to go.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. So I'll just start over real quick. Again, the title GIS in Action, Turning Transportation Plans into Reality. And then here's the agenda. So I'll start with an introduction, and then I'm going to talk about the Cook County Bike Plan, some of our bike network goals, and the GIS resources that have come out of that, and then some of the analysis we've done. And then I'm also going to talk about the Cook County Transit Plan and our rail infill survey, which we're really excited about. So the Cook County Bike Plan, it was the county's first ever bike plan. It was published in April 2023. The plan promotes healthy, sustainable, and smart communities. The department, it takes a unique role in bike planning within the county because we're a sister agency to the Forest Preserves, and we often act as the coordination body among many jurisdictions within the county. And then we also manage the Invest in Cook grant program, which is a program that allows us to invest in transit throughout the county in ways that expand beyond the roadway jurisdiction of the department and allows us to support transportation as a connected network for travel. So some background on bike planning at the county. The role that DOTH takes for bike planning in the county, it's seen in interjurisdictional projects like the Skokie Valley Trail and the Burnham Multimodal Connector. So these are projects that require cooperation, and the county plays a key role in facilitating that. We often partner with the Chicago Department of Transportation on many bike studies and projects within the city of Chicago. But we want to make sure that there is a continuous network for biking, and it doesn't stop at any of the boundaries of all 134 municipalities within Cook County. So the bike plan, it refined the strategy for how DOTH is able to help communities advance their own bike priorities. So some of the principles of the bike plan, number one, it's to increase everyday cycling by supporting bike commuting and better transit integration. Number two, create a core low-stress network of bike trails and bike lanes that appeal to all ages and abilities. And I'll get more into that in a second. And number three, to invest equitably to make sure that bike facilities are distributed to underserved communities. So this, in bike planning, there are 3 groups of bike riders that you might want to consider. So 33% of people fall into this no way, no how. For whatever reason, they're not going to use bike facilities. It's not considered safe enough. It's too stressful. 7% of people fall into this confident or fearless. And so they're not as dependent on safe infrastructure for biking. They're able to use more of the streets even when there isn't a safe or less stressful route. But the majority of people, 60% of people, fall into this interested but concerned. So they may be biking on side paths or protected trails like you find in the forest preserves, but they really need a lower stress route for most of their recreational or purposeful trips. And trails are really the preferred routes for them. So here's an example of what this low stress route would look like. You can categorize most routes into this sort of 1 through 4 system, where 4 is very stressful. You're going to get very few bikers, mostly only that confident and fearless. No bike lane, you're on a busy street. Number 3 is stressful. There's a narrow bike lane, but it's just paint on the pavement. Still not very comfortable. Number 2, less stressful. This is where you start picking up some more riders. You have a buffered bike lane, it's a calmer street, so cars are going slower or there's less traffic. And then what we really want to focus on is this least stressful. So separated bike lanes, off-street trails, calm streets. And this is where you attract most of the riders for everyday trips. So how do we implement our plan? The bike plan defined the actions to take in order to implement low stress biking network. So it's creating a core low stress network by making key connections, by building bike paths and lanes along DOTH roadways, study new trails outside of the DOTH right of way, followed by funding assistance for feasible projects. And then also carry out sub-area network studies in challenging locations. So that could be like near O'Hare, like Calumet, Bronzeville. And so we have this goal where we want 90% of Cook County residents to live within a mile of the low stress bike network. And if you want to take a look at what this existing low stress network looks like in the county, you can look at our Cook County Bike Routes and Trails map, which is a web app available in Cook Central. And this has our network study areas. It has all of our routes, both on street and off street. It has the level of traffic stress for all roads in Cook County. And then for those on and off street trails, it has the existing, but it also has the recommended routes. So in the bike plan, we defined and recommended all these routes to improve and increase the network and connectability in Cook County. So you can look at where those are, whether they're funded, the status of them. And I want to talk a little bit about the GIS data that we created, which you can also access at Cook Central. So these are all viewable in the bike app if you just wanted to explore and look online or send it to someone who doesn't really use GIS as much. But we also made these data layers available for download. We use them ourselves for our own analysis, but they're also available for the public use. And I included the view count here because, in a couple of years, it seems like these have been used a lot, and we find that really exciting. Okay, so now what? Using GIS to implement. So we have all these recommended routes. It's actually about 240 recommended on-street bike routes that were defined in our bike plan. So how do you begin to parse through that and create a plan of action? So that's where we start the analysis using some of the data that we created. So we started by deciding that we needed to rank the routes by need, which is within the community. Could be a lack of existing bike facilities or a high proportion of destinations that should or could be bikeable. We're also looking at, the ease of implementation, and we started by looking and focusing on suburban routes. So we did some of this ranking using AADT, which is average annual daily traffic, which is an indicator of the stressfulness. The jurisdiction at intersections. So, if it's an IDOT road or if it's a DOTH road, that changes whether it's something we can do ourselves or we have to work with other agencies. And then the major destinations that we were looking at were proximity to suburban high schools, which you can see are these blue dots, suburban community colleges, which are these pinkish purple ones, and then parks that were over 20 acres. So this is a map of all the routes. The yellow and green, that's when the daily traffic splits between, we have it over under 2,000 daily vehicles as an indicator of low stress. And then another GIS tool that we use for analysis, it was created by the Accessibility Observatory at the University of Minnesota. So this tool uses the OpenStreetMap network to estimate travel time from census block centroids to destination points. So in this example, I have the parks. And it allows you to set the level of traffic stress as a constraint on your analysis. So you can say you only want to use the least stressful routes in your routing. And so, for example, all of these in white, these census blocks, it's under 5 minutes using only low stress network to bike to this park. And so what we did is we did this analysis using the existing network, and then we did it again using if we had implemented all the recommended routes in that area. And so you can see this comparison of whether a particular census block, the travel time decreased to any destination. So then we repeated this, we did this for parks, then we repeated it for high schools and for community colleges. So using all those factors, like the proximity to destination, existing level of daily traffic, we also looked at population, we were able to rank all 240 routes. So this just gives us a starting point to look at the implementation ease and the cost and make sure that there's spatial equity in the implementation schedule. So this is an ongoing analysis. We just wanted to show an example of our GIS workflow for prioritizing and implementing the goals of our bike plan. So besides analysis, we also think GIS is an incredible tool for public communication and outreach. So in September 2023, the county published the Cook County Transit Plan, which identified strategies to make transit more convenient, efficient, and attractive. And one goal from this plan was to fund studies of the feasibility of infill stations, which infill stations are additional stations on existing transit lines. So using ArcGIS, the instant apps, we were able to build a survey that's available for the public to give their input on where they'd like to see the new infill stations in Cook County on the CTA and Metra. The instant apps, they're accessible for, it's an option for creating a survey with an interactive map capability that has built-in language support, and it allows us to hide previous responses. So every new survey taker sees a blank canvas. And also it can be optimized for mobile, which is really great and convenient. So we partnered with CDOT, Chicago Department of Transportation, Metra, and CTA in order to share the results of this survey. So far, we've had 720 results, which is cool. And the survey is actually open and available now, will be available till the end of the year, December 31st. And I very much encourage all of you to take this survey. I think we'll throw the link in the chat, but you can also go to cookrailsurvey.com. And since I have it up, I think I'll just do a quick little tutorial on how to use it. So when you open it up, it has some instructions for the survey and then also some information about the study, if you'd like to read that. You press Begin Survey, and it has all of the Metra and CTA lines within Cook County. And so the study is just within Cook County, even though you could, you can see where the Metra lines leave. The information that we're focusing on is within Cook County. So if you're looking at infill, it's like where on an existing line could you use a new station? Say, I think maybe over here, somewhere by the 606. So you go to New Feature on the left, and it pops up this little icon. So you can go in here and be like, well, I think that right at this little park would be a good one. And some new questions pop up. So you can say, this is where I live. And I think this station would be great because it would reduce my travel time. Because now I will be able to use it several days a week to commute to work. And I can walk here instead of having to, I don't know, maybe bike to the Western station. You can put your home zip code in. The 6. And then if there's any other information, so if there's another reason that you think this would be really great, or maybe you've heard from some neighbors, they also would use that, and then you just press create. And so you can do that if there are other places that you live or work in, and if you want to share it with other people that use transit in the county, we'd really appreciate that. And that's it.